Alright, we're on day 2. Hopefully yesterday you understood your root work. Today there are two major points that must be remembered. The first one kind of goes back to what we did last week again, in that you do in times in, out times out whenever you multiply two roots, that you multiply the inside number times the inside number, the outside number times the outside number. That is the only time the roots change, is whenever it's multiplication. Yesterday we learned that we can only combine what we call like roots. So today what we're going to do is look at problems that include the distributive property, and this can include problems in where like terms can be combined overall. As long as you set your work level to slow and careful, this shouldn't be too difficult. Again, the biggest issue students have, and you being sophomores / juniors right now, you should understand that this really isn't that bad. You just got to make sure that you take your time. You try to rush, bad things tend to happen. That's anything you do. So other than that, we know what this means. We know the operational stuff, and here's what we are looking at. If you are not good at multiplying, then I suggest you do the distributive property the way you were initially taught, more than likely, which means that you now put root 10 times root 6 plus root 10 times 3 root 2, which is what's going to get multiplied. By listing those things, it means that I'm not running the risk of messing anything up or missing anything or overlooking anything. Now what I can do is inside times inside, which is 60, and then outside number is 3, inside times inside is 20. The only thing I can do right now is simplify my square root of 60, which we have to know how to do. 60 divided by 4 is 15, so it's, again, don't do that in your work area. 60 is 4 times 15, which makes 2 root 15. I don't think 15 goes into 4. I don't think 4 goes into 15. I don't think 9 goes into 15. That means that this is as far as I can go with that. 20, I know that 4 goes into 20. So it's 3 root 4, 4 times 5, so root 5. This turns into a 2, multiplying by 3 to make 6. And I get plus 6 root 5. And notice these roots are different, which means that is as far as I can go. Now keep in mind, if they did have like roots, then I could put them together. But typically if it doesn't start out as like roots, then you're not going to end up with like roots down there either. But that's all there is. You got to know how to multiply them, inside times inside, outside times outside, and then you just have to simplify them as far as you can go. As long as you know how to do those two things, which again is things that we learned last week, then today shouldn't be that bad. It's just going to be a little bit of work, a little bit of time out of your schedule. But I mean, what else are we doing right now? Here, again, I'll do this without listing them, just for those of you who like to try it that way. Inside times inside, outside times outside. The only outside number here in this group is 5. Inside is 3 times 2, which is 6. When I multiply these, the only outside number is 4. And inside times inside makes 9. I think I know for a fact that 9 is a perfect number. I think square root of 9 is 3, which it is, 3 times 3. So that means that this turns into a 3, so I end up with 5 root 6. This turns into a 3 times 4, which gives me the answer of plus 12. And since this has a root and this does not have a root, it's the same thing as trying to put 5x together with 12, which you can't because that has an x and that doesn't, which means that's as far as you can go. The only way I can compare that or combine that 5 root 6 with something is if that something had a root 6 on it. That does not. That's as far as you can go. Alright. Looking at your next part. This is the distributive property with 4 terms, which means root 2 has to meet everybody. So here again, without listing everything, root 2 times 5 root 2, the only outside number is 5. 2 times 2 on the inside makes 4. This is going to be negative. Outside number doesn't exist, but 2 times 3 makes 6. This is going to be positive. Outside times outside is 10. Inside times inside is 6. This is also going to be negative. Outside number is 2. 3 times 3 makes 9. And that is our first step. Again, we have to simplify as much as we can, so let's simplify all these radicals. Square root of 4 is actually 2 from what I know. 2 times 5 makes 10. I don't think 6's break down, but 9 turns into a 3, which means 3 times 2 makes 6. The third thing we have to do is put our like terms together. Notice that after we did this, we have a whole number and a whole number. 10 minus 6 makes 4. -6, +10. That would be -1 and +10, which makes a +9 root 6. And that is as far as we can go. So again, you might need to ask me for some assistance to begin. That's fine. The biggest issue teachers such as myself and everybody else you're going to have, especially in math, don't like is when you don't get it, you don't ask questions, and then you complain about the grade you get. As long as you are doing what you can while you have the chance to, we don't mind helping you. Again, that is as long as you're coming up and not coming and bringing your frustrations and throwing it at us, but just kind of trying to work your way through the issues that you're having. But other than that, let's look at 2 more questions before we wrap this up. Again, this situation here, make these 2 meet. Outside times outside is 4. 6 times 3 makes 18. Here times here, outside number is +3, and then 6 times 6 is 36. Here it's going to be -2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 3 makes 9. Here is also going to be -2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 3 is 18. From there, again, we want to simplify our radicals. Root 18 I know to be 9. So 4 root 18 turns into 4, 9, and 2. 9 times 4, or sorry, that turns into a 3 times 4, which is 12 root 2. 36, I think 36 is a special number. Let me see, square root of 36 is 6, so that actually turns into a 6 times 3, which means that this is plus 18. 9, I know for a fact to be square root of 9 is 3. 3 times 8 is 24. And again, 18, I just did over here, which means 6 root 18 makes 6 root 9 root 2, because remember 9 times 2 is 18. 9 turns into a 3 times 6, which is 18 root 2, so minus 18 root 2. Putting like terms together, 12 minus 18 is -6 root 2. 18 minus 24 is -6, and that is what we end up with. As I said, don't work fast today. Work effectively. Make sure you're taking your time. Make sure, again, you are asking about every step that you're stuck on so that I can help you to stay on track and stay where you need to be for your quiz this week. Root 5 plus 6, root 5 minus 6. This times this makes square root of 25. This times this makes outside number is 6, inside number is 5. This times this makes positive outside number 6, inside number 5. This times this makes -36. Simplifying our radicals, the square root of 25, I think that's 5 times 5. As far as what I know, we'll always check to see if it's perfect first. That is 5. These two put together, though, that's a +6 and a -6, which means they actually cancel out, which means this is what I end up with, 5 minus 36, which is -31. Again, if you ever notice that you have positive and negative root of the same root, then of course those two things cancel, and that is how it works. It's kind of like when we had with the distributive property with x plus 5, x minus 5. Those things still happen. Other than that, do me a favor again for your credit today to make sure you at least did what you need to do for today. Simplify these 2 questions. Again, don't ask for help on these 2 questions. They should be done on your own. They are not being graded for whether you're right or wrong. I just need to know what your issues are. And again, as some of you have learned, if you're talking during this time and you have not done your lesson check, it's not a good consequence. Again, in the 4th quarter, you've had me long enough to know I don't play around with that stuff. So please just do what I ask you to do, and then you can start working together. But for now, again, make sure you answer these 2 questions and go to MathXL. And again, ask as many questions as you have to of me, of other people in the class. That's fine. Just make sure you're getting it. Good luck.